Welcome to this week's edition of the Digital Express for the Knoxville Daily News. I'm sports editor Danny P. Smith, high school beat writer Robbie Faulk. And Robbie, I guess the main story this week is potential weather and the fact that a lot of Friday night games are now Thursday night games. This is Thursday, so there are a lot of big games tonight in the area, with our biggest being Choctaw County going up to Houston for a big division game, and you'll be heading up that way shortly.
Yeah, we already had both Webster County schools are going to play tonight, I think, basically because of fall break. That was something scheduled earlier in the year, and all of a sudden everybody's kind of following suit and going to play on Thursday night with them. But the weather seems to be a factor. A lot of teams want to get the games in on a dry field and have the best crowds on Thursday nights. You and I were talking earlier. I don't remember many games whenever I was playing or when you were in high school when games were moved up because of weather or canceled or whatever. So this is something that's kind of new to me, but everybody kind of, when the ball started rolling yesterday, everybody kind of followed suit and wanted to play on Thursday. But we do have Starkville Academy. They're going to play on Friday. Tonight's a big one, though. Choctaw County and Houston playing in a big game that is going to have some district implications. Both of those teams are trying to fight for a district championship. And then the Webster County teams, Eupora is hosting Calhoun City. All of a sudden, that team was 1-5, I think. They win last week, and they get their first district win to start 1-0. All of a sudden, Eupora's got a chance to compete in that district too, and then East Webster trying to get back on track. So it's a big, big Thursday night in our area.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Edwards the other day, and I asked him how many people have asked him about that 5-2 final, and he said he's been getting a lot of calls and a lot of texts. And was that really your score? And he said he didn't care if it was 1-0 or 49-0. He was just happy to get the win. So it was good for Eupora to get off on the right foot, as you know. But it'll be interesting to see if Houston can slow down that Choctaw County running game, and Houston, if Choctaw County can deal with a tough Houston team.
Yeah, Houston's kind of been a little banged up, I think, injury-wise the last few weeks. So that might be a factor. Their big offensive and defensive lineman, Calvin McMillan, that's committed to Mississippi State, went down last week after the game, was facing a bout of exhaustion. He had to go to the hospital for a couple of days, but he seems to be doing well and should be able to play tonight. But, I was talking to Coach Roberts yesterday about it, and, they're prepared for him or a full-strength Houston team no matter what. They feel like they have a pretty good team themselves. And they played really well the last 3 weeks. So this is a team that could be sitting, 5-1, 6-1, whatever their record is right now. They could be only sitting with one loss. They have 2 games against Calhoun City and East Webster that could have very easily gone their way.
Right.
And some turnovers, some self-inflicted wounds kind of kept them from winning those ball games. So he feels good about where his team is right now with 3 straight wins. They have a really good tandem in Tylen Carter and DeSenza Miller Jr. back there. So the rushing attack for Choctaw County is out of this world. The defense is playing well. It should be a pretty good test for them, and probably one of the toughest games they have remaining outside of Knoxville County.
Right. And we don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow or not, but I think it's probably a good call for them to go ahead and move this game to Thursday, because you want to see this game on a dry field, because it's going to be a good one. But we do have Knoxville High and Knoxville Academy, plus all 3 of our teams in Clay County chose to leave their games on Friday night, and they'll be all going on the road this week. And Knoxville and Knoxville Academy are probably favored to win their games, wet field, dry field, whatever field. So it'll be interesting to see what if they'll go ahead and take care of business. But we can shift our focus a little bit to Mississippi State. They've been off a week. It was a bye week last week. They'll be going up to Tennessee to get what I would call a much needed win if they can get it. They don't need to go up there and play poorly and lose this game, do they?
No, this is a game that's kind of a crossroads, I guess you could say, for Mississippi State. Very similar to the Kentucky game a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever State really desperately needed a win to start off SEC play. The Auburn game was a game that you're picked to lose regardless. The way they lost that game was something that was really upsetting for State fans, just because they were out of the ball game when the first quarter was over. You're down 20-0, 21-0, whatever it was, before you could even blink. So the way they lost that game was really disappointing. It's going to be interesting to see if they come out and really take care of business early in that ball game. This is a Tennessee team that is desperate for some good news themselves, but they're kind of depleted right now. I mean, they're losing people to the transfer portal. Guys are getting kicked off the team. Jeremy Pruitt's having a tough time keeping that team together, but they had a pretty spirited first half against Georgia and gave themselves a chance with a true freshman quarterback, a lot like Mississippi State. These are two teams that are desperate for a win. Tennessee's at home, so you got to think they're going to have some confidence being at home. But this is a game State has to come out and play really well in the first half. If you can come out and take a few of those early punches from Tennessee and you have, at halftime the game's tied or you have a lead, I'm going to feel pretty good about State's chances. If they're trailing early in that ball game, if they come out like they did against Auburn, it might be a long day for them.
Tennessee's having a lot of players some players kicked off the team, and Mississippi State has their suspensions. Will there be enough players to play in this game?
Yeah, that's the big question, and the biggest question is, like we talked about a couple weeks ago with Auburn, does Mississippi State play those guys on Saturday? At this point we're starting to assume that Willie Gay and Lee Autry and Marcus Murphy and those guys that are listed on the suspension list are part of that Tutorgate deal. Of course, the FERPA laws is not allowing Mississippi State to comment on it. They can't say anything about that, but we can kind of draw our own conclusions when we start getting closer to those 8 games and when we start seeing these guys suspended multiple times. So you can tell, like we said against Auburn, you can tell Mississippi State's defense is a different team when Willie Gay's on the field.
Yeah, makes a difference.
And of course, we saw that when he was in high school. Ricky Woods used him in the Wildcat formation and ran him 50 times in those games. So Willie Gay is a difference maker no matter where he is on the field. So this is a game that I think is a must-win for Mississippi State. I think he plays this weekend. I think all those players play this weekend because this is a winnable game on the road in the SEC. You need all hands on deck.
Certainly important, but no matter what the reason is for moving these games, we get the treat this week for Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday college football. So enjoy the football weekend plus a Thursday, everyone, and we'll be back next week on the Digital Express.